What's the Lightburn? The bridge.
Oh, the Lightburn Bridge. Yeah.
Is it the bridge?
Yeah.
What was it called before? Raspberry?
Well, so it's a Raspberry Pi.
Raspberry.
It's
okay.
technical.
I knew it was some fruit.
Yeah.
And welcome to the Riley Black Project. Crystal and John.
Hi.
Hey.
What's up?
Breaking news. Facebook and Instagram are down.
I know.
This was days ago, but.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've heard it here last.
Hopefully it's back up by now.
Hopefully it's back up.
I mean, even like we don't use Facebook we do.
We do.
But for this.
Every day.
Well, no, but I was saying for the podcast. And we do it on.
Group.
No, will you shut up? I'm saying we use StreamYard and we don't really need Facebook or IG, except that Facebook is usually how you send me the link through Messenger. And we were like, oh. So then you had to email it instead.
Right.
And then I was sending it to our guest on IG and she was sending me messages and I could see them if I saw them when they the little preview. But if I missed the preview when I went to the chat, it didn't exist. So
hopefully that means they're working on it.
I hope so. Because it keeps telling me to try and log in and it says it sends a notification either to a text message or to my iPad, and there's no such notifications. So I'm hoping it's still just down and I'm not locked out for
And the memes on Twitter, X, whatever are great.
Well, because a lot of us, I don't even have it, but a lot of people don't even use it until Facebook or IG is down.
And YouTube Shorts.
Yeah. And I made an ornament file for this when it happened a couple years ago. I think it was 2021. So now I just got to change that year to 2024 and I can
scratch it out and put it 24.
It's still on my Etsy too, which I need to go through my Etsy because it obviously hasn't sold. But I was pretty proud of that bomb that I drew because it's really cute. So I need to repurpose it for something else. But yeah, that's the breaking news for now. That's no longer breaking news once they hear about this. Yeah. Hopefully, that would really suck.
A week-long outage.
That would be bad.
Yeah. Be bad for Meta. Anyway, today's episode is sponsored by
Katie with Monarch Pine. She is giving everybody 10% off. Use code Riley Black off her Etsy, monarchpine.etsy.com. And then we did actually do our shout outs last week already, but we have a new one. And especially if they join towards the beginning of the month, I try to squeeze them in. But Erin with Erin's Acrylic Animals, we had her on the show previously. She was a super cool, what do you call it? Now my brain took care of animals. Yeah, the zoo.
That's right.
Yeah. She had that crazy baboon story where they were she was literally getting attacked by a pack of baboons. So
yeah, that wasn't at the zoo. That was
it wasn't at the zoo. Yeah, she was in Africa. Yeah, in it. No, thank you.
In the wild.
Yeah. So yeah, she just joined. So thank you, Erin, for joining us.
That's right.
And that's all the things.
Speaking of guests,
who we got?
Our guest today. Why are you laughing?
Sorry. This is just the new intro.
The new intros?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like bringing them out on stage.
Right? Yeah. Instead of just who they are and you flubbing their name.
Yeah.
So, all right, let me be professional.
So I'm bad with names. Why'd you have to call me out?
Sorry. Do you know her name?
Anyway, yes, I know her name. I think if I read the email correctly, I know her name.
Okay.
But she is a fellow mom working out of her garage.
Nice.
That's right. And newly, and she'll tell us this story.
Yes.
But I feel like, what's his name? Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah.
They'll tell us this story. But she just went full time.
I saw that.
On her business. You saw that?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the email. Cool. You saw that, right?
Yeah. No, I saw it on her IG. But yeah.
Welcome to the show, Vicky of Lamb's Garage.
You almost got the whole thing. You almost got
it. No, because I was almost sure. I was sure right up until I said she works out of her garage and everything. Yeah. I'm like, oh wait, was that the name? Is it Lamb's Garage? Or am I just saying garage because I just said it?
Yeah. Right.
Lamb's Garage.
Hi guys.
Hey.
How's it going?
I'm in my garage today.
Congratulations on going full time. That's a huge milestone.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's almost. Oh no, it's been a month already.
Wow.
Like
Yeah.
the month flew by. It was
Mhm.
insane. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's so amazing. Thank you.
First of all, I love your hair.
Thank you.
The purple is great.
Yes.
So tell us about how the heck you got into the laser world. Like, what were you doing before? You know, all that kind of stuff.
So it's been a process. So before, what I was doing was I worked at Vans, the shoe company. I don't know if I should say the full name, but yeah, I worked at the corporate office. I was a buyer. So I was in the footwear department for a while, and then I did apparel for a while. So in the fashion industry for a very, very long time. But this really started, honestly, like back when I was a kid. And when you asked me to be on here, I started reflecting some more of like where the creativity came from. Cause like right now, most of the rest of my family isn't too creative. So I was like, where did it really come from? You know?
Right.
I remember my mom used to sew like everything. My brother used to have the like MC Hammer pants when he was young. That my mom literally sewed for him. And she made our Halloween costumes. And I remember I was like Morticia with like the full on like lace black that my mom made. It was awesome. But at the time I also didn't love it because, you know, you're a kid. You want the cool stuff.
You don't want the thing mom made you or
Exactly. But I remember going to like fabric stores with her and like running through the aisles when I probably shouldn't have been, you know, but that stuff with her. And then when I had my quinceañera, because I'm Hispanic, my aunt used to do all of like the centerpieces. So we went weeks after weeks to help her do the centerpieces. She used to crochet. She literally made like crochet rosaries for my quinceañera. And then for my daughter's so little things like that. So I've always also wanted to like make things. I remember in high school, I used to be the person that did like the posters for assembly. So we did different things like that. And then the kids came, you know, and once the kids came, of course, like kids parties. So I wanted to do different things. And I remember being obsessed. This was when my daughter was little with Lala Loopsy. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's a doll that has like buttons for eyes and like the cutest thing.
That sounds familiar. Yeah.
Cutest thing ever. They look like they're literally like hand sewn dolls, but they're plastic dolls. And I became obsessed with it. So I remember going to like Dollar Tree and buying colored plates, making the buttons, doing this like button wall with that, all hand done. Like did not have a Cricut at the time, all hand done. And then so I want to say it was like 2015 when my son was about to turn 1 that we finally invested in the Cricut. So I took the gateway drug and invested in the Cricut. Yes, my husband got me the Cricut and it kind of went from there. It was more of like centerpieces. I actually for a while was doing the paper flower walls too, which
nice. I did one of those.
I like became obsessed for a minute. I did my daughter's Moana birthday and I did this like huge hibiscus flower wall and then slowly started doing more. At the same time, 2 kids working full time. And then I had the idea of I want to go back to school and finish my degree. And this was all right before turning 30. So I was like, I want to do this, you know? So I went back to school and I'm very much the person that like dives in fully. I want to do this and be invested. Like I met with a counselor and he's like, this is probably too many classes for you having 2 kids and going full time. And I was like, I just want to be done right away.
Yeah.
So I was done in 3 years because I wanted to be done. So I got my bachelor's degree, put the Cricut stuff to the side during that time just because it became way too much.
Right.
But I had seen the Glowforge because marketing again with Glowforge.
Man.
Yeah, it was amazing. And this was again like back in 2015. My brother was doing some type of taxidermy stuff, so he also had a small business. So him and I saw it, and we were ready to like go in together into getting the Glowforge, but because of school, we put it on pause.
Yeah.
And the pandemic hit, and I'm at home, and I'm like, well, I literally did so much the first like couple months. I remember painting. I remember I created like different stuff. Like I did decorations. I painted my daughter's like old books into like a spell book for Halloween, you know? I was literally just keeping myself busy and Glowforge ad popped up again. And I was like, hey, you know, we've got this stimulus money. And this would be so much fun to do. So I dove in, again, knowing nothing about lasers, having put Cricut away for quite a while. Like I would still use it for parties, but definitely
Mm.
was not doing the small business side of it. But I decided to buy it and took it very, very slow because again, I was still like working full time with the kids and everything, and the pandemic was still going on. So I was just doing things here and there. I don't know if this makes me feel old or young, but I don't fully understand Facebook groups sometimes. So like I didn't go that route to learn, because that wasn't me. I wasn't in the Facebook groups. So I tried a little bit of YouTube, but YouTube was also overwhelming. So in some senses, I feel like I was a little bit self-taught because I was like, I don't understand any of these things. I think I remember definitely that Mom with the Laser. Emily's a couple of videos of those, but
and there wasn't a ton of videos.
No.
So I got mine, I guess, before the pandemic in the late 2018. But even then, when I got it, there was not a lot of videos on the Glowforge at all, even on YouTube. And the ones that I did see at that time were a lot of people just unboxing them and doing like their first print. And like, that was great. But like, it didn't really like teach you anything or show you anything. It was just kind of like a short review. So there wasn't a ton out there, at least initially.
Speaking of all things laser, check out Houston Acrylic at houstonacrylic.com for reliable laser tested and laser approved materials.
Made for makers by makers, Houston Acrylic features over 450 styles of acrylic sheets. With over 50 new arrivals being released this month, Houston Acrylic is committed to bringing new and innovative styles to the laser community. My personal favorite is the matte. Anything matte. And I feel it's perfect for everything.
Don't forget to save 10% by using our exclusive coupon code TRBP10 at checkout. Get inspired today and visit houstonacrylic.com.
Do it.
Attention all laser owners and crafters. Are you tired of spending hours cutting, painting, and assembling laser products? Look no further than Crazy Laser Dad Laser Ready Blanks.
Their high-quality blanks are expertly sourced, tested, and ready to use with your lasers. Say goodbye to the hassle and frustration of time-consuming projects and hello to more time creating and selling.
Plus, with their wide selection of items, you'll surely find the perfect blank for all your customers.
So, what are you waiting for? Visit crazylaserdad.com today and take your laser crafting to the next level with their laser-ready blanks.
Yeah, and with Cricut, like it's a design space. You can't really like download stuff. So like that was still a disconnect for me of like, well, where do I go? Like I had been using a little bit of Inkscape with Cricut, but I think I had paid for like the access. So like I had all the files in Cricut. So I still went the Inkscape route. I still use it to this day because it's free. And I understand those like, control keys a lot easier than Adobe, but Lightburn is a whole new world now for me, but I'm understanding it. I'm getting it. A couple of the first times when I would import, it was like a completely different size. I made something like really small, really big, and I'm like, what is going on? So I definitely took advantage of like Thunder offers like an hour course, a one-on-one. So I did that, and that's where I learned a lot. And he was able to like update my thing so that it didn't change the size so drastically.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, it was a lot of learning, and like I said, I felt like it was self-taught in some senses. But I turned to the community. Instagram was more my jam, so it was more of like finding people on Instagram that I could talk to. And I think you had Design House by Brittany. She was one of the first ones. Constantly answer my questions, and I wasn't bombarding her. I also didn't want to be but there was a time where like if you would ask a maker a question, sometimes they were kind of like, nah, I'm not gonna answer you, or sorry, like look it up, blah blah blah. But Brittany definitely answered my questions anytime I had a question. There's quite a few other people that we would just connect, and that's why I'm selfish plug, but that Laser Bay brunch that we did like a month or two ago, month and a half ago, that was a big part of like bringing that community of people together because we only knew each other on Instagram, like literally handles. So it felt nice. But those were the girls that we've answered each other's questions, helped each other out. Someone had a project and their Glowforge went down, so we've helped each other out, you know?
It's so huge to have that community. Like if you have one person, great, but if you have like 5, even better.
Yeah.
Because like not having those people can be the difference between someone pushing past a difficult time or difficult moment or difficult learning stage, or them just quitting altogether. Because if you don't have that support system, especially if you don't have in like a spouse, you know, who isn't, maybe, you know, maybe they aren't not unsupportive, but they're uninterested. I think that can affect it too. And so, you know, if you have maybe an uninterested, you know, partner, or even on the other side, like a unsupportive partner who's like, oh, all this money and you don't even know what you're doing or whatever. And then maybe you don't also, and then maybe you also don't have a supportive community or, you know, a couple laser friends. Like you can be like, oh, okay, well then, you know, just it may feel like the easiest thing to do right then is quit. I can't tell you how many times I've seen, you know, in the Facebook groups of people like, oh, I can't get this, you know, I don't think this is for me. And then I love when everyone like, or I'm ready to sell it, I don't think, you know, this is the right thing, whatever. And everyone jumps in and it's like, what's wrong? Can we help you? You know, because sometimes it's just the simplest things like, oh, I can't figure out how to upload into the software so that it reads correctly. Or maybe they bought a bad file and it's not cutting right and they don't know enough to know that it's a bad file or that kind of stuff. So just that support system is so important. So like, if you don't have laser friends, go find them, because we're out there, and it just makes all the difference because they understand, they've been there, they know, you know, sometimes when things like don't go right, and they can just kind of, you know, push you over that. And especially if like there isn't an answer on Google, or like in the beginning, you maybe don't know what to Google. You don't know what's wrong with it. So you can't even like go look it up, you know?
Yeah. There's many times where I'm like, I didn't know like what the wording is for something. Trying to like figure it out on YouTube or Googling it because you're typing it in completely wrong isn't
right.
Yeah. So I've definitely been that person though on Facebook that's more of like a watcher in the groups. I'm in a ton of groups.
Yeah.
I literally just kind of like browse through.
Yeah.
I'll look for things. I hate to be the person to like ask a question that's already been asked a million times. So
oh no, don't
I
worry
use
about
them
that.
to the advantage. I just tend to not ask. I've only ever asked one question in a Thunder group, and it's because when I first got it, and that thing's a beast. So I don't know what's happening, what's going wrong. And it ended up being that I didn't put in the gold card numbers. And I don't know if you guys know about that, but
no, but I mean that.
Yeah.
It sounds like it was something simple, right? And all you needed to do was ask. And then it's like, I always loved in the Glowforge group too. You know, it's hard. It's hard not to give people shit when you've been there for a couple years and they ask about the little like blue thing, because that's what takes out the lens in the Glowforge. But when you're brand new, you're like, what the fuck is this thing? And you know, you should have watched like the videos or read the manual because it does tell you. But a lot of us, me specifically, I don't do well with written manuals. It can confuse me. I mean, like I don't know if I mentioned it on the podcast already, but we were playing we were gonna play a game with JR a couple weeks ago.
Oh, right, Dogman.
And it's a really simple game, and I was reading the instructions and I was like, why am I not understanding it? I couldn't comprehend what the heck the game was by just reading the words. And so I went to YouTube and I Googled the game, or like looked, you know, searched the name on YouTube and found a 2-minute video from actually like the makers of Dogman. And it made sense instantly. I was like, oh. And so like, I get why some people don't necessarily read a manual, because I'm that person. I'll read it and all it's doing is confusing me more.
I need pictures too.
Yeah. I'm a very visual learner. So, you know, just having those people like, yeah, we might give you a little shit if you ask what like the blue thing is, but it's only because so many other people have had that same question, but
Right.
we're also going to tell you the answer. You know?
Yeah, makes sense. The need to not be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah, and I mean, who cares if people have asked it before? You may not have seen it, you may not have been in the group. Again, yes, use the search tool if you can, because a lot of times it is helpful, especially if it's a repetitive question. But I've searched for posts I know I made and I can't find them. You know what I mean? So like, it's not a perfect tool.
Right.
And then again, if you're not searching by the right terms, you may not find it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and then also sometimes you have like a collision, which is super common,
Right.
but it's also super nerve
You're
wracking.
fucking panicking.
You're in panic mode, and the last thing you're gonna do is
It's
search this.
Yeah.
Knowing that it's common. You're like,
Right.
my thing is bent.
Right.
What do
You're
I do?
You think you just broke your $10,000 machine, and
how much is it gonna cost to fix this?
Right.
Do I have to send this machine
Yeah.
off? Like, what's
Totally.
my next move?
Mhm.
You're not gonna search for that.
No.
And you don't even know what it's called. You just know
Right.
you bent this thing.
Right.
And then everyone's like, oh, welcome to the club.
Yeah.
That's a collision. We've all
Right.
had it.
Yeah.
It's super
The
common.
rite of passage.
I'll set up a ticket for you, because
Right.
Heather's usually on top of it.
Yeah.
I'll set up a ticket for you and stuff like that. So you that's another time where it's like it's super common, but you don't know because it's your first time.
Right. And
it's
you're in full
dramatic.
panic
Yeah.
mode. Yeah.
Hey there, podcast listeners. How great would it feel if this was the year you finally got to escape your 9 to 5 to embrace your lifestyle of creativity and entrepreneurship?
Every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, Eon Laser USA invites you to join the Freedom to Create webinar, where you'll learn how to make this a reality.
Join leading laser industry professional and brand ambassador Emily, aka That Mom with a Laser, and Eon Laser USA's sales manager Alicia as they dive into all things Eon.
Learn about the advantages of owning an Eon Laser and get the scoop on Eon's rewards and partner benefits. Plus, get a glimpse at how everyday people who started out with zero experience paid off their lasers, scaled their businesses, and transformed their lifestyles.
So if you're ready for a lifestyle change, head over to eonlaser.us/whyus and sign up for the Freedom to Create webinar today.
Thanks for listening. Laser on.
Welcome to the revolution in laser engraving. Introducing Lens Digital, the creators of the game-changing Pyburn rotary attachment. With the Pyburn 4.0, you can turn ordinary cups, tumblers, glasses, and more into extraordinary masterpieces.
Looking to engrave niche items or want the functionality of a Chuck rotary? Look no further than the Pyburn Grip, Lens Digital's Chuck-style rotary. With a range of different sized jaws, you can easily engrave a wide variety of items. All Lens Digital products are compatible with most CO2 and Galvo lasers and were designed specifically for the laser industry. All that paired with the best-in-class customer support, Lens Digital is your one-stop shop for all of your rotary needs.
Transform your laser engraving game with Lens Digital, where makers succeed. Unleash your creativity today.
And don't forget, we are proud Lens Digital affiliates as well. If you're shopping, code Riley Black will take $50 off any order of $600 or more.
Yeah, I was like that with the Glowforge. I broke one of the wheels once, had no idea that that's what it was. And it's specific wheel. It's the pulley wheel, not whatever the hell the other wheel is. But of course, Glowforge was sold out. And that was a pain. So I went in search. I think I posted on Instagram. I'm just like, has this ever happened to anybody? Where do I find it?
Right.
People recommended someone on Facebook. So I reached out to them. And then I went to Etsy, and luckily I was able to find some replacements on Etsy. But it's crazy the things that go wrong. And again, similar. I don't read manuals. I'd rather watch a video. I'd rather, just kind of go head on and then figure it out as we go. Yeah.
Well, in another scenario too that I would run into when searching is sometimes the videos are outdated. You search on YouTube and it's a video from 4 years ago. And especially if it's like a system thing, sometimes that is no longer like the same. Now, that video may still help you. It'll walk you through those steps. And now maybe the icon is called something different or it's moved, but at least you have an idea of like, one, is it possible or whatever. But that's the other thing too, is like, if you go look at a Glowforge video from 4 years ago, 100% most of that is going to be like different or called something different or works different, or there's an easier way to do it now because that wasn't like even a thing when you first got it. So yeah, I always get frustrated with like the OGs who get mad at people who ask repetitive questions.
Yeah.
Like you know, I get that it's annoying to see it regularly and you feel like they should do more research or whatever, but like just scroll on. If you don't feel like answering that question for the 20th time, just scroll past it, because there's other people who will answer it for the 21st time just to help somebody out who doesn't know better, you know?
That's true. That's very true. And I think that that's where my fear is I'll see sometimes some of the responses on some of the posts. Oh, they're being really mean.
Right? It's like, chill out, man. Like, go
Yeah,
over there, cranky pants.
exactly. Or you get crickets. You know, there has
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the worst too.
posts, and I'm like, I wish someone would answer her question
Right.
because I don't know the answer.
Right.
I see it, but there's no one
I
responding.
know. So how long after you got your Glowforge did you get your Thunder?
So I got the Glowforge 2021, and I just got the Thunder last year in September.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, so what, about 2 years?
Yeah.
I felt like I outgrew it like the next day, but
Right.
I
The
think
Thunder or the Glowforge?
the Glowforge. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the Thunder almost too, but no, the
Yeah.
Glowforge, because I got the Pro because I wanted to do bigger,
Right.
not realizing that the bed is still restrictive from one day to other. You know, like, yeah, you can do like whatever length you
Long
want.
and skinny.
Right.
Yeah, but it have to be super skinny. So that's where it became well, I want to do bigger, you know, or I want to do the welded signs that are bigger. So I did definitely play around with it and figure out some cool tricks on being able to still do a 6-foot sign. I did do a sign out of the Glowforge, but goodness, the Pro settings and having to shift it. Oh my God, did I waste so much product sometimes with it just like messing up in the middle of a cut, and it was a 6-foot sign, you know?
Yeah.
Or it got too fucking hot because it's California, and my garage started overheating and it didn't want to continue the cut. So yeah, I definitely outgrew that one pretty fast, but had to wait. So finally got the Thunder in last year, and it's a game changer. The size, especially since I went with like one of the bigger sizes, and it also has the big slot for the pass through. I've already done bigger pieces, and I want to do bigger pieces.
And so the pass through, is it more user friendly than the Glowforge?
Definitely. It still has some work to like play around with it and figure it out. But but it's so much easier.
Yeah.
So, especially with bigger.
What size Thunder did you get?
It's the 51-100.
Damn.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
A big one. Did you name it?
His name's Dragon.
Nice.
Yeah. So,
I love it.
Thunder. Yep.
So when you first got your lasers, did you know what you wanted to make?
No.
Okay. No. So you just wanted to like
I wanted to
play around.
Yeah, exactly. And with the Cricut, like I said, I had been doing like centerpiece stuff, you know, a little bit more like generic things. So that's kind of where I went with the Glowforge in the beginning. And I made keychains for like Mother's Day, you know, I made that type of stuff. And then I did my first like pop-up market, and I sold maybe like 2 things.
Right.
But I made like so much inventory to try and be ready for this market. You know, I did coasters, I did the baby milestones, I did cutting boards, like so many things that I was seeing out there. And it was just more of like what everyone was doing.
Right.
So I did that, but I also made myself a scan me sign. So literally it's just my traditional, it says scan me with the 2 barcodes. And I had that set up. And then I decided to take a break and walk around and like meet other vendors. And I took it with me. I was just like, hey, this is what I can make too. And oh my God, everybody there, all the vendors were so excited. But normally you don't go talk to the vendors, you're talking to customers. But I had no vendors. So I went and I talked to everybody, showed it to them, and I was like, hit me up. I was able to have a successful market after that, not the day of, but after that, everybody reached out and was like, I want one, I want one, I want one. Because they weren't that popular at the time. Again, this was like 2021. They're slowly becoming something, but more people were doing them on like just a printed out piece of paper, or it was with vinyl, but mine was fully out of acrylic. And that's kind of where it exploded for me, and I found my niche. It was more of the small business, you know, it's making signage for small business. I've been doing logos for small businesses. So that's been more of what I've been working towards, is that niche. But I'm also wanting to shift into wedding signs because I've also been doing that as well. So I'm shifting between the two, but I want to do more of the like huge signage for weddings, so we just built a backdrop to add like acrylic to. So
Nice.
new things coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The markets, I always tell people, like, even the ones that I say were unsuccessful, I met people, I met connections, I met someone I eventually had a consignment shop in their shop with because they were like, the table next to me or like one over. Meeting other vendors, you meet a lot of customers who then turn around and like follow up or order later. And like, just because it didn't, you didn't even break even, or you had all this stuff, but like there's no, personally I feel like there's no way you can do one and not learn something. And if you
Yeah.
learn something, then it was successful. Maybe
Right.
not successful like dollar wise, but if you learned, oh, I need like what do you call it, like a dolly, or I need to pack this differently, or they really liked this stuff but maybe my price point wasn't at the right point, it was too high, too low, whatever. Or I had the same stuff as everybody else, but she realized the scan me sign, not a lot of the other people like had it, and then you get those orders afterwards. Like, I feel like it would be really hard for you to go do a market and not learn a ton about what to do differently, what you liked about it. Maybe you learned that they just aren't for you.
Right.
You
Yeah.
still learned something, I feel like you should probably give it like another try or two just to see, if it really is or isn't. Because markets can be really, really successful if you do it right. So, but yeah, like they're always a learning, like, I mean, every failure is a learning, like, opportunity as well.
Exactly.
So,
And I think one of the biggest things you can take away from a market if it's not financially successful is also the network. Like literally go out and meet the vendors.
Yeah.
You never know what opportunity arises for either you or them to be able to connect, and something in the future comes up, whether it's someone who makes cakes and hey, you can make cake toppers.
Right, exactly.
Definitely network. Don't look at it as it's just me selling and they're taking away from my business. No, go talk to these people, because again, you're building that small business community.
Because if they make cakes, you can be like, hey, just so you know, I make acrylic cake toppers, or I make cupcake, and I remember at one of the events, it was a women's event at that consignment shop, and I met several bakers who were selling their baked goods, and they were buying clear blank cake toppers that they were adding like vinyl to or whatever, and they were buying them on like Amazon for way more money than buying them from someone local would be. And I made several orders of those for people, like they bought like 20 or 25 at a time because they just wanted them on hand for that. And they didn't know, they didn't know what machine did that. So they don't know who to contact or find locally to do it, at least easily. They don't know what to ask for. And then they just, someone else gave them probably the Amazon links. They just, ordered through there. So like when you go to those events, especially other creative people will be more likely to support your business because they're in a similar situation. They would love for you to come to them for, cakes or maybe epoxy tumblers or anything that you don't do, and then vice versa. So you got to make those relationships.
Yeah, and that's where a lot of the fun things lately have been doing, like styled shoots. I don't know if you've been part of like styled shoot. You just bring together so many different vendors.
Yes.
One person like reaching out or saying like, hey, here's my theme, who wants to jump in?
I actually just did one, a Mother's Day one. Yeah,
it's so amazing because you get content, you get the pictures of everything, you get to meet more vendors, and you get to have fun. Like we did one for Valentine's Day. It was more of a Galentine's Day one, and we set up, and then I had to pick up my son, and they had a bounce house, and like we did a candy bar, so then the kids had fun, so it turned into like a little party. But those opportunities are also huge because then again, you're meeting more people for future events. You also get to see spaces. Like we saw the venue we did it at was down the street from my house. I had no idea it was there. And like, okay, cool. Because it's a lot of venues are now popping up around here in like industrial areas. So it was literally an old warehouse that they just turned into a venue. So they rolled back gate, great lighting in there. And I was like, this is perfect. I might have
Yeah.
an event here soon. But
Right.
yeah, so cool.
So tell us more about how you finally made the decision to go full time.
Oh man, this has been a long time coming.
Yeah.
It actually was. So last year in June was originally the date that my husband and I had agreed on. So my husband's a military vet. So
Okay.
he's a veteran and he's a high school counselor. So with his military like background and now he got a master's degree, he can support us. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I've never been that person that, I have to be doing something.
Right.
I like to stay busy. So he had been saying for a while, like, come June, you can do it. We'll get the bigger laser, blah, blah, blah. And this was the year before. So what, 2022, we had been talking about it, that in 2023, I would leave. But then in 2022, towards the end of the year, I got looked at for a promotion at my old job. And I was interested and not interested at the same time because I liked
Yeah.
that. But, a promotion comes with more money. So
Right.
went for it, ended up getting the promotion with a way bigger raise than I anticipated. And I was like, well, I can't walk away now.
Right.
Like, it's going to help the business too. I can kind of put that money back into it. And that's why we ended up going with the bigger thunder was, wasn't anticipated. So let's just, we'll talk about when I can leave later, but I want to go bigger. So I'm just going to keep the job.
Yeah.
So I got the job, and starting in like June when I originally was going to leave, we started talking about it again. And I was like, and I did love my job. The company was great. I loved what I was doing. That's what I had gone to school for.
Yeah.
But then my mind was constantly wandering into the garage, like, especially because I was working from home most of the time. So
even more so.
Yes,
It's like right in your face. Like, come over here.
Yes. So there was definitely times where I was working in the garage, working from home, because I could sit next to the laser, pop something in, like work or whatever else. I hope no one's listening that I used to work with. They loved me. I got my work done, but there were times where if it was down time, I was in the garage putting stuff in, getting orders done, and going back and forth. My camera wasn't on for Zoom because it didn't need to be on, so I was in the garage.
Yeah.
So it was difficult to make the decision, and he just constantly was like, just do it. But he would also say, if you do it, this is going to mean maybe we have to cut back on our vacations. And I was like, no, exactly. Like, I love going on vacation. What do you mean? No.
Yeah.
So that's what really kept me like waiting for a while. And then I want to say like November, I finally was like, all right, like, I'm not happy constantly with what I'm doing anymore at my day job. As much as I loved it, I love the people, like, I don't want to do it anymore. I want to be out in the garage. I want to be building. And it wasn't giving me the time to like get ideas out of my head. I was just having to make orders. That's all I was able to do, was just get the orders done. Yes, every once in a while someone would ask for something super custom that I got the opportunity to be creative with. Most of the time, like, I wasn't able to get my creativity flowing because people were asking for the same things, or it was just recreating someone's logo. So I became unhappy. And again, him and I talked about it, and he said the same thing, like, just do it. And I was like, you're not, you don't believe that. Like, you're not saying that for sure. And he's like, telling you.
And that's self-doubt, and it's scary. And I mean, so I was at a really well-paying job as well that I had used to love. I didn't love what I was actually doing, but I loved the people I worked for. My direct boss was amazing. We had a really good relationship. And then the people, the department I worked with, same thing. I had a really good relationship with them. I considered a lot of them like friends and, whatever. And it was great to work with them. And then that all changed. And then the culture started to change. And then, all that. And it was like, okay, I don't love it anymore. And at the time I was just doing like t-shirts with my silhouette. And I don't know that I think it was doing well. But I was also doing the same thing where I was just completing orders and there wasn't a lot of time to be like creative, and I'm just recreating and trying to put my spin on whatever my friends sent me. So I'm not just copying and doing the same thing. And let's be honest, half the time I hated like the fonts that they used on the design that they're sending me. I'm like, okay, I'll make it, but it's gonna say the same thing, but it's not gonna look the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he got the opportunity to come back to Florida, and it was like, okay. And it was kind of like that. It gave me that jump, because I don't know that I ever would have really been able to make that jump without that, because I had been there for 12 years. So to walk away from that, like, security, that like time, the comfort. Yeah. But I did also, I was getting to the point where I didn't like it so much. I was literally like, I'm gonna get fired. And like,
there was times where I thought that too, especially because we went through, sadly, like 3 rounds of layoffs within
us too.
So with the layoffs, I was constantly like, oh shit, did I underperform because I was in the rush?
Well, man, the stress of layoffs is just, it was so intense. And like the first round of layoffs, my mom and my sister worked at the same company, and they were hit during the first round of layoffs. So I not only lost my boss in that round, my boss and basically the whole department during that layoff. Then my sister wasn't right away. It was actually just my mom. And then the second round of layoffs was my sister, I believe. And it was so intense. Like, you knew that they were happening.
Yeah.
And then you know that they're literally like going down the hall, and you're like, which envelope am I going to get? And then it's like, and then when I didn't get the envelope that I was being like, then you have like survivor's guilt. And it's like, cool. Well, now I'm here with none of my friends, and then I had like, there was a lot of animosity from the people who left and that I was kept. And I'm like, I didn't choose this life. I didn't ask for this. Like, I didn't tell them, get rid of them and keep me. Like, I would almost rather have been with them, because I felt like so alone. There was so much pressure. Like, I don't miss the layoff life at all. Like, there's different stresses here of like, oh, hey, can I pay my mortgage this month without dipping into savings? That's its own kind of like stress. But yeah, no, the layoffs and the corporate world and all that, it's a different kind of hard and difficult, you know?
Yep. Yeah. And it's even harder when you're like having to report to someone, you know?
Yeah.
Report to someone who reports to someone, and just like that ladder. Yeah. It got to be too much for me too. So that's why I decided it was time to go. Cause like I said, we went through 3 rounds of layoffs, and it also affects the morale so much.
Oh, it's so bad. Yeah.
Everything. And that was part of the reason why I wasn't happy anymore. You know, I still knew how to do the job. And I think one of the biggest reasons too that I was scared to walk away was it was technically my first job in what I got my degree in. Cause like I went back to school later. So I was actually a COVID graduate. So I was supposed to graduate 2020 when everything shut down. It was my last semester. I got my diploma still. And luckily I was able to get my foot in the door at the corporate office that I used to work at. And I just went from there, and I loved it. Cause again, it was what I had gone to school for. I got lucky to like immediately get a job in that. And then to walk away from it was like so scary. But then I have the degree. That's the one thing my husband was like, you have the degree, you have the experience, everyone loves you. And luckily, like when I told my director, she was very much a like, if you ever need a job, just like come back to me, you know? So it feels good being able to leave in those like circumstances. Right. She's just like, just call me if you need a job, you know, I'll be there. Like wishing me success, of course, but
but just in case. Well, and it's comforting too, because it's like, okay, if this does fail, I'm not completely screwed. Like, will I go back, you know, but with my tail between my legs? Probably, but like, you know, you could go back.
Exactly.
So
I can't.
You can't.
I burned that bridge.
Oh damn.
We did. We kind of set fire to it and walked away.
Burned. It was more than just an exit interview by HR.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It was
we sat down, the two of us, and wrote it's several hours.
Memoir.
We wrote basically a resignation letter. And it was just all the reasons why he, you know, the
the same
reasons why
thing.
he was
It
leaving.
was the same thing. Morale went down.
Mhm.
There was one. It was only one round of layoffs, but it was very significant.
Yeah.
And after that, changes up the ladder just changed the way the station I worked at just ran. And yeah, so I just basically told them about themselves.
Well, there was a
in
safety issue.
Right, and then there was a safety issue, which was the main portion of the HR meeting. But it was I'm not but here's the thing, my direct boss, if he wasn't there, he would hire me in a heartbeat anywhere he's at.
Right.
But no one else is going to sign off on that.
Right.
If I need to go back.
Well, I mean, but here's the thing too, that like when you left, you actually liked your boss and his boss.
Yeah.
It was, the management kind of as a whole, not directly like one person or another, but it was the culture that was like the higher up. And it's like, yeah, I can go to him and he'll understand and he'll be on my side. But eventually
he's going to be out.
If he doesn't align with their views, he's going to be gone, or he's going to be his hands may be tied when it comes down to something of like, hey, I don't agree with it, but it's not my decision, or that kind of stuff. So
he agreed with my letter completely. He's like, I totally understand why you're leaving.
Right.
Like, I get it.
And well, I won't call him out.
No, I'm not. Yeah, he's like, I get it.
He's still there.
Right. He's like, no, I totally get it.
Yeah.
And, he wished me the best of luck.
Which was great validation too, because like as much as the letter that we did was like from the heart, and it really was like accurate and truthful, and it was still like scary to say that, and like you didn't want to like offend him, because he did take care of you while you were there, and he did as much as he was able to do while you were there,
and 100% transparent. When he couldn't do something, he didn't like,
he's like, listen, there's nothing I
promise
can
or
do.
say, he's like, listen, I'm gonna tell you straight up, I can't do that.
And I have no idea when it's gonna happen.
So
yeah, and it makes it hard for us when we have those people that understand that you don't want to leave them in the lurch, but at the same time, like, hey, they know what the fuck we've been going through,
Right.
Like my direct manager actually ended up putting in her notice at the same time. Our last day ended up being on the same day.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how like insane things had gotten, and we both had been that way. And like it's funny because I kept telling everybody, I promise you it wasn't planned. Like, I know it's insane. In our like department, it's 3 of us. It was our assistant, me, and her. And the 2 of us left on the same day. So it was a little crazy. It did make everyone panic, but like
Well, and then I mean the thing is, when it ultimately what is important and what it comes down to is what makes sense for you and your family.
Right.
Like, you can like your boss and your boss's boss as much as you want, but like when what's happening with the company as a whole isn't working for your mental health or for your family or for just life in general, then it doesn't matter.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like we've all seen, especially with the layoffs, like even when we were thinking of like 2 weeks notice, it's like, oh, well, they don't give me 2 weeks notice when they lay my ass off.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Or if they fire me, or like, and we've all seen the people who get like sick or have a family member who's sick and they have to take FMLA or whatever. And it's like, you see how quickly someone is replaced. And it's like, you say you value me,
right,
but like when it comes down to it, at the same time, they're worried about their company.
Right.
And if you're like in the way, or you're
valuable as long as you show up and you do your work.
Right.
You're valuable.
Right.
But the minute you stop doing that, it's like, okay, well, we need someone to do, I'm sorry, but we need
no
someone
matter
to
the
do it.
scenario. Right.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Exactly. You'll be replaced immediately. I've seen a couple times where people put in their notice, have a plan of like, okay, I have 2 weeks and then I'm doing XYZ. And the company decides, oh, today's going to be your last day instead.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, now you almost have to be prepared for that, because I know I saw like engineers at the oil and gas company, when they would put in their notice, they knew they were probably going to be asked to leave that same day, because it's too much.
Right.
you have access to information that could be detrimental, especially if you're going to a competitor.
Right.
And so while I get it, because I mean, listen, most of us, when we go in and we quit, we've been thinking about it for months, if not years. So if they really wanted to do something detrimental, they're going to do all that before they tell you. At the same time, I get it, because it's like, you have access to all this, you know that you're leaving, like, unfortunately, like, you gotta go. Like, they send their farewell email, and then immediately they can't get their responses because you've been like logged out of the system.
Well, much like her, we planned my exit, you know, like we knew that summer it was going to be. We didn't know what month in the summer.
Yeah.
But we knew that summer, and we looked for every way to get, you know, that like nest eggs to make it possible. Like we looked at loans, at refinancing our mortgage to take some money, some equity out and stuff. Like we were looking for exit routes already to make it, you know, possible. So you know, you think about it, it's much like a divorce.
It really is.
It's much like a divorce.
A breakup.
That relationship was going south.
Yeah.
And it just finally hit.
And it doesn't happen right away. It's over time.
Yeah.
So how has the first month gone, like being full time?
It's been crazy. It's a lot because, like, you know, you have the extra time, but you don't have the extra time.
Right. Yeah.
And then especially, like, I still have to pick up the kids from school. You know, I still have the mom duties here and there. So I got to plan for that. It isn't like, okay, I'm going to do full 8 hours out here. And like,
isn't that the worst realization?
It is.
You drop them off, and like, so, I mean, he drops the kids off at 8:30. His kids.
They're your kids.
But then sometimes they're your kids.
When they're bad, they're your kids.
Exactly. Yes. But when he drops the kids off, you know, it's at 8:30. Well, we have to, even with aftercare, you go and pick up the first one at 4 p.m. So it's not like, you know, and then if we decide to try and go to the gym that day and like all those things, and we're like, cool, now we have 6 hours if we don't want to work when they go to sleep or while they're home or whatever. So it's difficult to manage.
Well, and then there's always like logistical problems, like either your computer or like what you call it, the what's the light burn? The bridge.
Oh, the light burn bridge.
Is it the bridge?
Yeah.
What was it called before? Raspberry?
Well, so it's a Raspberry Pi. It's like technical.
I knew it was some fruit. But like, you know, like that's not working, so we have to reset that. Like stuff. So finally, when you're all ready, set up and time to go, the alarm goes off. The alarm goes off to go pick up the kids, and you're like, I didn't do anything today.
Right?
Yeah.
How many times are we sitting there? Because I have an alarm set for 4 p.m. and I'll be sitting there and I'll be like in the groove, and it'll be like, beep. I was like, well, fuck, it's 4 o'clock.
There goes that.
Like, how is it already 4 o'clock?
Yeah.
And it goes so much faster.
Yeah, I think my first full day, I had to end up cleaning out the Thunder because my cuts weren't like working.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I spent the whole day just literally cleaning. And then
you did nothing else.
Yeah, I did nothing else because they just weren't working. So I was like, all right, cool. I need to go pick up the kids now.
Right.
And when my husband got home, I continued working, and he's like, wait, I thought this meant you weren't going to be working at this time. And I was like, I didn't do anything today.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Cleaning the whole time. But yeah, it's I'm getting into some routines here and there, just making sure, like, you know, certain admin stuff is done in the morning, because in the mornings I'm usually a little more distracted. I want to get my coffee or want to get a workout in, so I'm answering emails, and then I'll get to the laser, but also making sure that, like, within a timely manner, because there's been times where I come out to the laser at like 2:30 and I have to leave at 3 to pick up the kids, and I'm like, that's not enough time to make thing. I don't want to leave shit.
That's barely enough time to sit down and turn things on and like send the file.
Exactly. And I hate when I just have it ready. I'm like, I just want to start it. Can we just... Yeah. So that's the hard part. And like I mentioned earlier, the kids go to school apart from each other, and it's not super close to us. So like the week, I was telling my husband, I was like, why am I already more annoyed now having to walk away to go pick up the kids than I was when I was working? He's like, because you like what you're doing now. Like, you don't want to leave what you're doing. And I was like, all right, well, can she start driving so she can take him? And like, we can her like something, because it's taking away from my time.
Right. How old are your kids?
14 and 10.
Okay.
Yeah. crazy. And the 14-year-old is my girl. And yeah, it's fun having a kid in high school.
I bet.
And what's the driving age in California?
15 and a half is when she can get a permit. So not until 16 can she actually
16,
start
yeah.
driving. Yeah. So
Well, and then
Same
that's a
thing.
whole new level of anxiety.
Yeah.
Like I'm not
and
looking
especially in
forward to
California,
that.
like here,
Oh, yeah.
here he could like maybe he'll hit a tree. It'll be a single car accident.
Right.
And
He'll
we'll
hit a
be
parked
and it's like,
car
okay,
on
well
US 1.
you just don't have your car now.
Right. You
Oh,
hope.
Over there it's like a 5-car pileup and you're like,
Yeah.
great, now we got to pay
That's
for
true. Thank God
everybody's
we're
car.
not in like South Florida.
Yeah.
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 Because
Or even worse, like they're doing everything right and then they get hit because of
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's uninsured motorists, so they take off and now
Yeah.
so
well, and I was the kid who I don't know how long after I got my license, but I totaled my car and got in a pretty bad accident. And so I have that laying over my head.
I got into one accident and it was partially my fault.
Mhm.
So I had a Grand Marquise
Whoa.
and that hood was so far.
Oh.
Really far, yeah.
So I was leaving the student parking lot and I was gonna make the right, but you have to see oncoming.
Right.
And there was a van parked there, so I had to pull out even
no.
further. And then like I looked this way, and then when I turned this way, here comes it was an Acura, it was a white Acura. I forget what kind it was, but she hit my bumper.
Oh.
Like I didn't even do it. I was
Right.
just there, but my
But you were in
hood
the
was
way.
so far out.
Yeah.
And so then the officer, whatever, she was speeding. And it was a school zone, so there was no way that. And she had to back out because her car was lower than mine. So my hood, I was like sitting on top of hers.
wow.
And then the cop, like took her damage or whatever,
Right.
came over to my side and started laughing.
Because there's nothing.
Well, no,
right?
my blinker, like the housing cracked.
Oh, that's it though.
That was it.
Right.
That was it. And she because she hit me,
Yeah.
but my car was like a tank.
Right.
And hers wasn't.
A literal tank, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Once my daughter starts driving, I keep saying she's gonna take him to school, but yeah, that fear. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna trust you with a 12-year-old in the car.
Right.
You're 16, but we'll see. She's responsible. The good thing is honestly, high school hasn't been as crazy. Junior high was a lot tougher. So
Really interesting.
yeah, junior high was tougher with her for some reason. And I think it was because it was the transition of the COVID years. So
yeah.
the first year of COVID, she was in 5th grade. So she didn't get that like 5th grade to 6th grade promotion.
I couldn't imagine going to school during that. Like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was intense for us, and JR was just in like daycare.
Yeah.
Well,
so,
right, he was transitioning to kindergarten.
Yeah.
So like that half of that kindergarten year, because we're in Florida, so it
was
was only half a year.
weird.
So
Yeah.
half of that year in kindergarten was virtual.
Yeah.
And even that was a mess. And teachers like,
Yeah,
don't
like
worry about it.
you can't get a kindergartner to pay attention to anything on a computer for like that's learning for any it was literally like 15 minutes in the morning, and that was pretty much it. And then here, try to do these activities during the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then it started to get better, and then we were like, cool, let's get pregnant. And then it got worse again, and I was like, oh cool, a pregnancy all by myself at all of these appointments.
Oh,
awesome.
that's first, yeah.
Yeah, it was
I was
not
outside in the
fun.
parking lot,
Yeah.
just chilling.
Yep.
Oh.
And either on FaceTime or on the phone, or like I'd tell you afterwards like what happened. He got to go to like the last 1 or 2 appointments, and then that was pretty much it. But I couldn't imagine going to school during all of that. It's so weird that like, I mean, but it pushed so many of us into our business, and so it was really cool that it did that. But I was just saying last
Pros
night.
Pros and cons.
For sure.
What was I talking about last night that I saw something that was 2020 and you can't take anything like.
Oh, yeah, I forgot what it was.
And I was just talking about like if you ever see the year like 2020 for anything, it's like, that was a really weird
That was a
time.
free
Like,
year.
is that still accurate? Was that just because we were all like hunkered down or whatever? And then he still had to go like to work.
Essential worker.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I had to tell you not to go out.
Right, with your mask
So I was
on.
out there telling you not to go out
Not
and
to
showing the people that were out and saying
Right.
that's not what you do.
Yeah, you don't go out.
But I'm here. But we're standing out here,
Right.
live out.
Just like a snowstorm. Don't go out. The roads
or
are
hurricane.
Yeah.
Or hurricane. Which I miss hurricanes. I liked hurricane coverage. You didn't like it so much, but
No.
I liked hurricane
I
coverage.
had my first
scary.
panic attack during the hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what that was. I thought we were okay. I was freaking out because we didn't have shutters yet at that house. And I was, you never know whether the hurricane's gonna like be anything until it like shows up, and then how quickly things could change. And it's like, oh, you don't need shutters, you're good. And then all of a sudden you need shutters, and it was like, oh shit, we don't have shutters now.
late.
Everybody's out of plywood, and like, so we went to go. I was freaking out because we didn't have any shutters. Then we went and got plywood, and I was like, oh, okay, great, we had a plan. So I was like, I was fine. My anxiety did not agree, and he was heading off to work, and all of a sudden I couldn't breathe. My chest hurt, and I was like, what's happening? And I was like, it was in the house by myself. I think JR was napping or something, or he was at school. I don't know. But yeah, first panic attack was due to a lovely hurricane, because that was new to this Colorado girl. I didn't know anything about how
I
those
feel
worked.
the same way. Yeah, I've seen images of it. No, thank you.
Yeah.
I stay in
Yeah.
California. I mean, earthquakes are crazy, but I don't think they're nearly as bad as hurricanes. I could never.
Yeah. Well, and I mean they're
Well, buildings don't fall during hurricanes usually.
yeah, it's the flooding that freaks me
Yeah.
out with.
Well, and it's the anticipation, because you
Yeah.
know it's coming. You know when it's gonna hit.
but you
You
don't
just don't know
it's the
exactly
unknown.
where.
Mhm.
With an earthquake, you're just going about life and it hits, and you're like, oh well, okay, there was nothing I
Right.
could have done, so now you
Well,
just deal
it's
with
the
it.
immediate. Did you feel the earthquake? Did you feel the
Yeah.
earthquake on like all social media? Like
Yeah.
literally, my
Oof,
husband
I
texted
couldn't
me.
imagine that.
I
Not
want
on
to
Facebook or Instagram today.
yeah.
Right.
Everybody would be lost if it happened.
Right.
But no, my husband texted me. I want to say it was within the month of me being off, and he's like, "Did you feel the earthquake?" And I was like, "No, I was coming back from Home Depot." And so I went to Instagram, and yep, there was in our city bulletin was earthquake, and I was like, "Well, it happened. You're right. There was one."
Right, but not to me.
Not to me. I didn't feel it. Most of the time, if you're driving with the smaller ones, you don't feel them around here. It's the big ones that get
Yeah.
crazy.
So what are some of your goals now that you're doing this full time? I mean, I've seen your Instagram stories before it was broken of like some things you were thinking of doing. So like what do you hope is coming up?
Yeah. So, like I said, I kind of binged some more. So I've been seeing the podcast mostly on like your Instagram and just like small little clippets, which I'm
Mhm.
excited to see what our clippets gonna be. Like
Right.
the window to the wall one.
You
No,
got to
exactly.
vent
But we
somehow.
get-
Right. The window or the wall. And you couldn't. Yeah.
I love that one. But so I started binging this some more when you asked me, and it really got me back to like, I want to do SVG files. I want to do like a few different things. I had been wanting to do classes for a while too. So I'm keeping the Glowforge. I'm going to do some classes. The SVG files are now up, and by the time this is live, I'll have more up. So you'll
Awesome.
definitely be able to see some more. But yeah, that's what's next. And then we're also looking at some more things as like a family venture that would require signing some type of contract. So
Ooh.
hoping for that
Ooh.
one. Yeah, and we'll see where that goes. But I definitely want to continue diving into the wedding industry is the big one for me. So
Yeah.
making big builds, because that's what's super popular right now in my area
Yeah.
is big builds for weddings. So that's what we're working on.
Fun.
Nice.
I
Thanks.
can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
This is a good time to mention her discount code. So it's the code is TRBP10 for
Yes.
10% off,
For
right? And that's
general
off
admission.
of your Etsy and your Shopify, right? So
Shopify.
what are those?
Etsy is Lamb's Garage. Shopify is lambsgarage.com. And then you can use both of them. You can use it on right now, the full site. So including fees. I think the only thing is just not gift cards, because I have gift cards on Shopify.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Tell us what Lamb's Garage means. How did you come up with that name? I've been meaning to ask you.
No, you're good. So it's honestly kind of simple, but the logo means a little bit more. So Lamb is my last name. That's my husband's last
Oh,
name.
okay.
our given last name. And then, of course, I've been working out at the garage, so that kind of came to be.
Yeah.
But on my logo, oh, sorry, switching this side, that has a little bit more meaning with the colors. Is blue's my favorite color, red's my husband, purple is my daughter's, but it's also the combination of me and him, which makes it even.
Oh, how
See,
cute is that?
And then the gold is my son's favorite color.
I love it.
We're all together in there.
Yeah. I love when they have like little pieces. I got to figure out a way when Jackson gets older to like slide him in the mix somehow.
Yeah, we'll just like, break the logo.
Break the logo?
Yeah, because he breaks everything. So you just break it.
Just snap
You put like a crack.
That's so true.
It's like Riley, and then he's the
So
crack.
I've been wanting to like rebrand just to like, I don't know, like wanting to rebrand but not rebrand at the same time because I don't want to get rid of that part of it, you know?
Yeah. Well, you can incorporate it a different way.
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out a way to incorporate it because a lot of what I've been doing has been like black and white, you know?
Right.
Because it's easier than doing all the colors together.
Yeah.
But I want to keep them a part of it. So trying to figure out a way to rebrand.
Well, and then I mean, like any good business, you're supposed to have like your kind of main logo and you're supposed to have a ton of alternates. And even though I've been doing this for like 6 years now, I don't have good alternates for any of the many businesses that we have. Like that's something I'm actually like hyper focusing on now, but I don't really know like where to find it. I legit picked up my phone at like 2 a.m. and looked on Pinterest last night to look for like.
That's what you're looking at.
Yeah. To look for like ideas. Cause so like the Riley Black Project, this is our main logo, right? But like there's a reason why we have a sign for Ryan who gave us money towards the studio, but we don't have
the first studio.
We don't even the first studio. We don't even have a sign for our own
that's why
podcast.
we wear the shirts.
Right. Well, I mean, we have to now because it's like, whose podcast is this?
Our podcast.
If we don't wear the shirt,
everybody thinks it's that person's.
Right. Yeah. Right. Probably. Yeah. Like, oh, that's Sprouts Creations like podcast, but like it's a little busy. I mean, there's a reason why I haven't made a sign from it yet. I'd love to make like an LED sign, but then there's like these smaller pieces and like, how am I going to connect like this and that? And then I'd have to get rid of the tagline potentially. And what I want is like a sign that is just TRBP. But now I have to find like the font I like or have someone custom make it. And then it's like, who do I have custom make it? But that's the point we're at now is like not really rebranding, but making sure that we have the alternates that are single color. Because again, making screen printing shirts, there's technically 4 colors in here.
Yeah.
I can use the black I don't need to worry about because the shirt is black, but there's still 3 colors. So like, you know, having those alternates makes it so that it can be used in several different like, you know, ways. And you'll be able to have maybe like your super colorful version where it like really expresses like where it comes from and, you know, your reason for doing it and all that. But then you'll also, you know, come up with maybe a black and white one that works for, you know, embroidery or patches or those kind of things.
Yeah. So I'm looking at next. And there are a lot of people that I've been seeing popping up that are brand developers or brand like, I don't even know what the other word is, but that can help with things like that. And so that's what I'm looking at next. And I've been doing the same thing, like looking
if you
people
see
up.
me, send them to me.
Yeah, because you've also got to find the right one that's going to understand like your aesthetic.
Yep.
There's some that everything looks the same that they do.
Right. Like, I don't want one where they're like, oh yeah, that's so-and-so because all of theirs look exactly the same, just different letters.
That can really vibe with each brand and they all look different because then they're going to understand you. They're not going to just go based off what they like. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. My sister-in-law actually just did it. So I've been looking at the person. So my sister-in-law does my nails. I'm going to totally plug her.
Oh, nice.
You guys are going to love this name. Her handle is Hand Jobs by Allison. So, yes.
Good stuff.
That's amazing.
On Instagram. So she does my nails and she just did
I will be following her.
Yes, please do.
Have you made her any signs? Because if not, you should.
Because she just rebranded, we're working on that.
Nice.
But, yeah,
I know a
she's
great
times.
charcuterie board that she needs.
Oh my God.
I
That's
need
true.
Oh, I think I know which one you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'm running low because my amazing supplier, they're super busy and they had a snafu at their mill. But I have some. They're just limited, so
Right.
I'm waiting for more. But yes, it would definitely be a good one. I mean, come on, to put her new logo. Hell, I want to do it now. Put her new logo on a shafty board.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great.
That would
And
be
then she
cool.
could have it like at the salon or whatever with like snacks and
with cheese and snacks.
Yeah.
That'd be so
Totally
great.
could. I mean, it might though. She has said that some people have literally walked in, like men just open the door and are like,
oh,
gets creeped out. Yeah.
oh, nails.
It's nails.
Oh, okay. I'm
Wow.
in the wrong place.
Back out slowly. Oh my God, how
Oh,
awkward.
it's those kind.
Yeah,
She should do a compilation on
Yeah,
Instagram. She
totally
should have a
should
camera
it.
set up
Yeah.
and then just like, the ones who come in for a happy
For a different
ending.
kind of manicure.
Yeah, exactly. And so because she's in like one of those like salons that has additional salons. I don't know if you guys have them.
Right.
Yeah. So people can walk through and just like they're going to their barbershop and they see her sign and they kind of just like, she's like, if I don't have a client in here, she gets super freaked out because she's just sitting on her couch.
Right.
They're like, oh. Yeah. Like you need like lock your door when you're just in here by yourself.
Right.
Let people in. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Do we miss anything else? How do
No,
people
I
find her? We kind of talked about it with Shopify and Etsy, right?
Yeah, you can tell where can people find you?
Instagram,
so
mostly, right?
When it's back up.
Instagram and TikTok are Lambs _garage, and then everything else is Lambs Garage.
Perfect.
All right, so hopefully we have access to Instagram
Yeah.
when this airs, and if not, RIP Instagram and Facebook.
I was kind of glad we had the podcast today so that I wasn't like just constantly trying to get back in there because when something doesn't work, because your brain hyper focuses on the fact that it doesn't work, and it's the other part of your brain that like that's just what you do. You pick up your phone and then you go check like notifications or something, and then like the first time it happened 3 years ago, I think it was 2021. Like you go and you'd be like, oh. And you're like, man.
I'd just be like, oh, YouTube.
I did go to YouTube Shorts. I was like, oh, okay, here's how I'll get it in.
That's how I discovered YouTube Shorts.
It's because you cut yourself off Instagram.
Huh? Because they cut off. Because the first time.
Oh, really?
When it shut down, like I had scrolled past them, but I didn't pay them any mind. But then when there were no Instagram Reels, I'm like, oh wait. YouTube has shorts. Let me see what these are about. I'm like, oh, these are the same thing. They're just harder to share.
This guy, like a month ago, he cut himself off of Instagram Reels because we were staying up too late scrolling on Instagram.
I gave myself a curfew of 9 o'clock.
But then he just went to YouTube.
It lasted all no, I didn't.
Yeah, you'd be on your phone and be like, what are you doing? Oh, watching YouTube.
Well, yeah, then I watched the YouTube.
My
full length.
Same way. My husband has cut himself off on occasion from Facebook, from Instagram, never from TikTok. And I was like, why? It's just as bad. Like,
it's the same thing.
So now here's one thing you can do. You can set a social media like time.
Oh.
So that's what he's done.
That's
so
too much
his
commitment.
social media only has like, I want to say like 3 hours in the day. He can only spend any social media on his phone. He can only spend 3 hours. And Pinterest comes up as a social media.
That's not fair.
Yeah, right? I'll work around it and go onto Pinterest. Nope.
Right? Everything just but Pinterest.
Yeah.
I don't really go on Pinterest much.
Yeah, I don't go on it a lot. I go when I'm looking for my nail designs. And for certain things with business.
Yeah, I was there.
Little inspo.
Yeah, I was there when we were redesigning the studio.
Yes.
Looking at stuff for the studio. When I was setting up my workspace.
Yeah.
and then when I was looking to rig out the camera. But
Well,
that's really it.
Pinterest is actually like a huge hidden gem to a lot
Yep.
of small
Yeah,
businesses.
it is.
There's courses and videos and that kind of stuff of linking your shop to Pinterest. I mean,
Right.
it can be probably, I assume, like a double-edged sword because you're kind of putting it out there, and for people it's like they'll use it as like inspo and not inspo where they put their own spin on it. They'll just be like, oh, I'm gonna do that because I saw it on Pinterest.
That exact
It
thing.
kind of takes I think a little bit of the like human aspect out of it because you're just kind of like scrolling through pictures or videos.
Yeah.
But I know Mark with Big Blue, a ton of his files he links actually like to Pinterest, and I think maybe even Stephanie, she might use Pinterest for her physical products and stuff. But if you're looking for somewhere to like, get a way to get your stuff out there more, Pinterest is a really good one. I personally don't know how, but it's something to look into.
Sounds like we need to find a Pinterest expert to talk
We
to.
should. Good idea. Get on that.
I have
have connections in
Pinterest,
the
and I
community.
think I've pinned like 2 things on there, and then I just gave up.
Yeah.
It just gets so hard to like keep track of all of it. I have
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
YouTube that
There's
I
so
post
many.
reports on. I have a TikTok. I have Instagram. I have Facebook. I literally have all of them except for X. I've never used X.
I don't have that.
I have Threads, but I
Yeah.
posted for a little while and then nothing. But
I've never posted on Threads.
I keep seeing so many more people because it tells you every time you have a new Threads follower. Or
Yep, same.
yeah, so I have all that, and I'm like, cool, thanks for the follow. I'm not posting anything.
Right.
Already.
Same. Yeah,
But-
I do the Facebook groups, and then but I gravitate more towards, so it's Instagram and the Facebook groups. And then the other ones I just like TikTok. I can get caught up in it sometimes, but most of the time I'm just posting like my latest reel or the latest clip for the podcast, and same with YouTube Shorts. But mostly, Facebook, but not Facebook pages. My poor Facebook pages, they only have anything if it's set up to automatically share from Instagram.
Yeah.
Same.
They're very, very neglected. I don't show them any love.
Yeah.
Same.
I have like 5 followers on my media Facebook,
yeah.
and that's I think
Right.
because
I
again,
try
I
to
just
stay
share.
away from TikTok because it like sucks me into. Did you guys see the why the fuck did I get married?
I heard
Like-
about it and I've been staying away from it because I need
What?
0 more time sucks. So it's like I mean, you tell him. You probably know more than I do.
Yeah, it's this woman from Atlanta who literally posted I want to say it's 50-part series,
Oh,
50 different TikToks of who the fuck did I marry. It looped me in one day, and I'm just
that
sitting
would get
there,
me.
like watching all of her story. And for her, it happened during COVID too. So like,
So was it her one story or is it all different people?
no, it's her one story.
Oh God.
The man that she married that she did not know, and she calls him a full-on pathological liar. It's insane. You will get hooked if you start watching it, but that's
So-
the problem with TikTok. It hooks me.
You know what hooks me with those?
Uh-huh.
The when they convert school buses into like
and
like
stuff.
RVs or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, or a van.
Or like the shops.
yeah.
Yeah.
When they convert those from like, so I'll see one like, oh, today we put in the shower or whatever, and I'm like, oh, you've come a long way. So I click on them and then I go
And
back
then you see
to
that
when
they're on
they,
like
when they
part
bought
10.
it.
Yeah.
When they bought it, and then I gotta catch up. I gotta catch up to it, and then
See, well, that's what this happened.
and then
it showed me like part 20 or something.
Yeah.
And
You had to go all the way back.
so,
Mhm.
but myself,
Yourself.
I follow part 8. They're not done.
Yeah.
I don't follow.
I
don't
yeah,
follow.
you don't
I'm-
follow up.
It's done. I'm all caught up, and you're gonna progress, and I'm not gonna see it.
Instagram though has gotten me where I've like caught up to like part 1 or 2 and I didn't follow them, but they knew I watched part 1 and 2 and that part 3 will show up in my feed sometimes.
Yeah.
Which
They
doesn't
get
make
you.
sense. I should follow, seeing that how I'm like in the biz, like
Right.
that's what I do. It's
Yeah.
like you should make more videos for followers. Meanwhile, me don't follow anybody. Watch all the content. Don't follow. Don't like. Don't do anything.
You're part of the problem.
I am part of the problem.
Do you you gotta like and comment.
I know I do, but I don't do any of that. That's the worst part. I'm the problem.
All the time.
And you should hang out with him.
Even her
I'll
stuff.
post, I'll post a reel, and I'm like, "Do you see my reel?" And he's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, it's really good."
Yeah.
I was like,
Oh,
"Can you fucking like it?"
I do.
you,
I love it. It's
No,
great.
actually push the button.
Exactly.
Comment, just give me a couple claps. That's what I do on yours when I don't know.
If I'm going through stories or reels and hers pops up, she'll be like, "Was that my story? Yeah, you just swipe past it. You didn't do it." I'm like, "No, I'm going back now."
Come on, husband. You're in the biz now. You gotta.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly. You gotta support. There'll be days where I'll randomly see like 20 likes from him, and it's because he finally went back
catching
through.
up.
Exactly, and caught up. Or the other day he commented on a story and he's like, "Hey, that's my hat," and I was like, "You didn't even like the story. That's my hat."
He's just worried. He's worried about what piece of
and I didn't even know he watches my stories because he literally never says anything about them, never comments, never does anything. So when I got that response, I was like, "What is happening?"
Oh, so you're actually watching, just not interacting?
Yep,
exactly.
You lurkers.
#warrior.
Well, Vicky, it was great to have you on. We'll definitely. These are the ones I always want to do, like an update in like 6 months or a year, and I want to just see like how things are going and the classes and just all the things and how you're loving your new freedom.
That would be awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me. I was super nervous when you first asked me, but I'm so glad we did this. It's awesome.
Yes.
Thank you guys.
Yes.
Great. And you guys stick around for the life update coming up next. And we're back. A huge thank you to you guys because by the time this comes out, hopefully, fingers crossed, our maths,
right,
and you guys continue to watch as you normally do, and we will be at 50K.
Yeah, we're
just
as
over,
of right now, we're 262 away.
Right.
And depends on the week, but we're around at the very least 300 downloads a week. So hopefully, you know, in just a few days now, after this one comes out on Monday, we'll probably hopefully push us over the edge. If not, it'll be that following week.
Then the contest
and that
begins.
means the big giveaway will then start. And it'll be just something like you know, like comment, share, or something on Instagram. Because the Instagram is our smallest following right now, so we're trying to grow that one. And then for our patrons, if you're not one yet, we're gonna make it really sweet for those guys. You don't have to do anything. If you want to, you just get more like entries, I guess. But we're gonna make it so normally I make it that the patrons are just automatically included. And I think once I made it so that they got like 2 entries instead of just 1. But for this one, since it's 50K, I think I'm going to give all of our patrons 5 entries.
5 entries.
Per person. And you don't have to do a thing on Instagram if you don't want to. I mean, since you're a patron, you should already be following us on Instagram if you're on Instagram. But
it is a good thing.
What?
We have 3 cameras.
Why? What happened?
My camera died because I never plugged it into power.
See, I kind of gave you a heads up when I asked why that one was blinking.
But here's the thing: these 2 have to be. They have dummy batteries,
so
they have to be plugged in order to be powered in. That one has a battery and a cable, and
good job, husband.
It's okay.
Thankfully, we don't need it too much. But yeah. So become a patron if you're not already, because this is a really good time to do so. Because you're gonna get some extra entries, and there's like the prices are sweet. So they
and on the low end, it's only $4 a month.
Right.
I mean,
and that's 5 entries.
Yeah.
So it's I guess I don't know if it was the biggest one, but one of the big prizes is a ticket to the Next Level Laser Conference. And
pretty sweet. You might want those 5 entries for that.
That mom with the laser is giving a course, a free like course entry to Laser Launch Academy. Heather's doing the same thing. I'm doing the same thing. Several of them have given gift cards to their shop. One is 100, one is 250.
50K.
Like there's 15, I think 15 prizes, if not more so far. So
Nice.
yeah, it's gonna be sweet. We haven't figured out how the prizes are gonna be divvied up, if it's just gonna be like,
Well,
3 people.
We better
or
get on
15. I know, because we're
And by
almost there.
It's her.
Which that's fair, because normally when I say we, it's
me.
you. So fair. It's fair that you do it to me too. But yeah, so that's the biggest news. And then tomorrow, I'm actually going to Colorado
By yourself.
by myself. Not
Solo traveler.
Not so excited about that part.
No.
I hate traveling.
Well, this whole trip is not really like an exciting trip.
No, it is and it isn't. So it's not 100% doom and gloom.
Right.
But so I've talked about it a little bit, but I'm going to visit my dad. So we went as a family, all 5 of us, us two, the 2 kids, and I always say your mother-in-law, my mother-in-law.
Yeah.
We all went together, and I saw my dad, but it was only for like a couple hours. And, there's so many people and stuff, there wasn't a lot of talking like that he could do. And, it was quality time, but it wasn't enough. It's always rushed. It's always hard to like get it all in when we're there for a few days. And it was even shorter than normal.
Right, and then he came to us.
Right.
And it's a long drive, so he had to leave a little bit earlier. So
yeah. So this trip, he's now been moved to a nursing home, which was much sooner than we had planned. He just moved into an independent living facility in December. So this definitely wasn't part of the plan.
Right.
So just going out there and making sure that, I get as much quality time in as I can, because, so he has Parkinson's. He's not going to get better from the disease. He'll have better days and good days, and then he'll have his bad days. But the fact is that there's no real like treatment that he's just going to go back to like previous times. So I'm just getting in some uninterrupted, time with my dad while I can. Again, it's not like, as far as we know, he still has time.
Yeah.
So you never know how much. So I'm going.
And it was a big move. It was 2 big moves in a short period of time. So.
It was. Yeah.
So yeah.
I just want to support him through that. So I'll be going back home and spending as much time with him as he can handle.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll miss the kids. JR, I can tell, is kind of struggling with it. He'll think about it all the time. I know.
He's not gonna have the moles. What's he gonna do without moles?
He's obsessed with my moles. On this right arm belongs to my son. I talk about it all the time about how I want to get like a mold of my arm and just give it to him so he can hold onto it. I was sure he was going to grow out of it, but he's almost 7. So he's not. Although I'll probably miss it when he doesn't do it anymore.
Watch your moles anymore. Yep.
But every morning, mommy, can I have your moles? I'm like, okay, let me go pee. And then you but yeah, so he's definitely our sensitive, emotional kid. So, Jackson just has no clue. He doesn't know that I'm going.
No.
So he'll know that I'm gone, but he won't understand until then. So yeah, JR's struggling with it, and he's like, I'm gonna miss you. And it sucks that I have to choose between the 2. I'd love for them to go out and have like both, alone time with my dad, and then also, time together with the kids. But that's just not in the cards right now.
Yeah. And it's also like, even if it wasn't like money related, because it's expensive for all of us to go, at the same time, he has school now, so he wouldn't be able to go anyway.
Right. Or he'd be taken out of school.
Yeah. And then we'd have to have a meeting with the school as to why he was taken.
Right.
That whole
thing. Yeah, so just send your hugs and thoughts and all that stuff, because it just, I didn't prepare for like, I mean, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's when I was in my 20s, when I
Yeah.
was 20 years old. So,
That was 20 years ago.
we, yeah. we knew this day was coming, but that doesn't
Right.
mean it ever prepares you for when it comes. And you know, it's just he's young.
Yeah.
To already be in a nursing home. So, you know, my mom is, I found out I thought they were a couple years apart, like 1 or 2 years apart, like us, but they're only a couple months apart. They're divorced and like remarried, both of them. But you know, my mom's still a workaholic, and so it's just the complete opposite spectrums, and they're 2 months apart. So yeah, it's just life.
Yeah.
Life is lifing.
Yep.
So
Does
yeah.
what it does. So with that, it's been another great episode of the Riley Black Project. Crystal and John.
Bye.
Maybe we're all done.